All right, welcome back to another episode. Spring into football, take two. We tried recording this episode on Sunday, or sorry, Saturday, the day before the Super Bowl. Now we're recording 2 days after the Super Bowl, um, which makes it a little bit harder to talk about some things just because, um, it sounded a lot better. That the season we've come such a long way in the off season for one day before the Super Bowl instead of 2 days after. But nonetheless, we're gonna record and we're gonna have a good time. So a lot of things been going on around the league. Different news. You've had signings. Coaching changes, general manager changes, and I think a lot of stuff has really stood out to me personally. I think the league has undergone significant change and for the better. And the website when you go on it looks a lot better in my opinion. This season, and I think the league has a strong future outlook. And I do like to say though that I visited in on a class today from a different school, and the professor asked, he asked about the Super Bowl, and he's like, so now we don't have football for what, 8 weeks? And then he asked the class, does anyone watch the UFL? And that put a smile on my face because that means it's reaching more eyeballs, right? So um, just something to keep in mind is more people are watching it, and actually, surprisingly, a couple kids raised their hand. I was surprised because, I feel like in a different class with less of a sports knowledge in the among the students, they probably wouldn't have raised their hand. But luckily, we got a couple people, and they're like, the professor's like, oh, people usually just watch one, week two, and then they kind of fade and they don't really watch anymore. But we're proud to say that we watch all 10 weeks, including the postseason, and hopefully we can get many more people to be like that. So, but yeah, just some. We're just gonna go over some general news today. Whatever you guys have. I know it's really up to us. How we can discuss it. But I do want to talk about one of the biggest things this offseason with Zach Potter and the Birmingham Stallions moving on from the UFL to head over to the college world with Sacramento State. If you guys can give me your thoughts on that and kind of what he brings to the table with his new position.
He brings a unique um type of style. I mean, you know, um, college football is kind of like the NFL now, so um, he can put his own little spin onto uh, you know, the UFL, and so you know, hopefully he can keep up the success that the Stallions have done over the last couple of years. And I mean, all we can do is look and see what he does. But so far, it looked like he's made some pretty good signings in the couple weeks he's been GM.
Yeah, no. To add on your what you could say about Zach Potter, what uniqueness he brings. His recruits or draft picks that he had brought in were Alex McGough, Lorenzo Byrne, Victor Bolin Jr., C.J. Marable, Brandon Aubrey, and Christian McFarley were all ones you can point out in 2022, and all have signed NFL contracts. And then Deion Kane, Jay Sternberger, Austin Watkins. Now, do I mind you? Half of these players were not wanted by head coach Skip Holtz. Skip Holtz didn't want a good amount of these, but these are the guys that he specifically recruited. Others that moved up to the NFL: Khalil Davis, Willie Henry, DeAndre Tillman. He While he was at college in Nebraska, he was actually good. Well, he knew who Adrian Martinez was, and he was the one who recruited Adrian Martinez to come play in Birmingham, as well as Matt Corral. So the list could go on about whoever Zach Potter brought in or brought out, but he's done a fantastic job as a general manager to help get them this talent to get three straight championship wins.
Yeah, I agree with those points completely. Diego, if you have anything, we'd love to hear it. I know you felt strongly about him, so
Well, Zach Potter, it's very big shoes to fill in, but at the same time, it's great to see him able to take on a new role at Sacramento State. That's a pretty young school, but at the same time, I think that Sacramento State couldn't have picked anyone better for the job. As for our new general manager, Paul Rule, he now brings in his NFL experience, and just so far from what I've seen from my Stallions, we've made some very solid moves. I mean, obviously we brought back Alex McGough. Davion Davis is back. But of course we got some new additions as well. But you know, it's a hard bullet to swallow. But at the same time, I think with Skip Holt still in the fray, I think we could still see some success from the Stallions. But it will be interesting to see how it compares to previous seasons.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I will say
Go
with
ahead.
I will say with Rollins, he served as a scout for the Vikings, Jaguars, and the Colts, and also served as a specialist in the UFL scouting department.
Yeah, I was gonna add on how we've seen a lot of UFL management and coaches move on to the NFL or a college level team, and a lot of them have kind of taken a lesser role. But it's actually funny because the Stallions have had two people from their staff both take the same role at the next level, right? They had Bill Johnson, who we'll get into later in the show, who was a defensive line coach in Birmingham, who was able to take a defensive line position in Chicago. And now, you get Zach Potter, who moves on somewhere else, and he doesn't get demoted either. He stays as general manager just for a different ball club. So it's great to see these guys, like other people see that they have, experience and the knowledge to, be somewhere else and not just in the UFL. And that speaks levels to their work ethic and all that they've done for their past teams. So, um, I mean, yeah, I mean Bruce Gradkowski I think had the same thing. Or sorry, no, he was the one that actually got demoted, I believe. I think he was offensive coordinator in St. Louis, and then I think he might be the passing game coordinator in Detroit now. So again, a very very slight demotion, but it's still a valuable position nonetheless. So um,
Well, I mean, coming from the UFL to the NFL is always a promotion, but
yeah,
you're
yeah,
talking role wise, yes, but it's still coming from the UFL to the NFL is a promotion. Rather, your special teamer to go play practice squad or a starter going to play as a backup, it is still a very big promotion to go play from the UFL to the NFL.
yeah. I mean, just that in itself, but it's even more impressive when you're able to retain that same position, in a higher level or somewhere else or whatever the case is. But yeah, I mean, so Zach Potter, I mean, you'll be missed amongst UFL fans, whether you were a fan of the Stallions or not. That team, the dynasty might still lie true for another season or however long, but his work will not be forgotten, and we wish him the best moving forward. So, um, but yeah, Zach Potter. Is that some Zach Potter news for you guys? We can talk about now kind of the rookie seasons that some players had over in the NFL. Some notable players. I mean, DeAndre Tillman, Jake Bates had rookie season, and you got guys like Cavante Turpin and Brandon Aubrey who are UFL alumni getting Pro Bowl shots. Um, just some players that were kind of on our radar this season in the group chat and all around the UFL world. What were your guys' thoughts on some of their seasons, and what are your hopes for them moving forward and in the future on their respective teams?
Um, to start off with Jake Bates, of course, looking at last season, he had a miraculous, just magical season with the Michigan Panthers. Of course, he had that 64-yard attempt against the St. Louis Battlehawks to kick off the new league. Really reeled a lot of people in. And then from there, he was just nothing but automatic for the Michigan Panthers for the season. And that alone ended up getting him signed to the Detroit Lions. So same stadium, able to retain really that same success. Um, and of course, the one moment that really got his name on the board was when he kicked the game-winning field goal against the Houston Texans. Um, but just really, he really gave kickers like Justin Tucker a lot of heat, which unfortunately, he had a drop off in his season when really he's supposed to be the so-called best kicker in the NFL. But I don't know. Jake Bates and Brandon Aubrey might have taken over that spot. And if any of you guys want to add on about
Yeah.
Brandon Aubrey, go right ahead.
And I was gonna add on about good old Jake Bates because we have his. Oh, is that sharing? Is it not sharing? Oh, there it is. Okay. Hello. We got add about Jake Bates.
Yeah, yeah. You can't. I mean, I wish the volume was on, but I know it's hard to get it on here. But yeah. I mean, you guys
Man,
can see. I mean,
that was difficult.
kicker's one of those positions where you do well, you get complimented. It's kind of like cornerback. You have a bad rep, you give up a touchdown, you get hated a lot. Same thing. You miss a kick, you get hated a lot. But it's great because now the top kickers of the league. Two of them have been from the UFL, and I think as the years progress here in the UFL, as we get more viewership and more fans, I think we'll definitely the league will definitely develop more starting kickers and hopefully successful ones at that. So I mean we've already had two, and what have we had? We've had what, 4 seasons in combined. Sorry, wait. Yeah, we've had one UFL season, two USFL seasons, and one XFL season before the old XFL. So yeah, 4 seasons combined, and now we get another season to try to see and develop some new talent. So, but yeah, I mean, Jake Bates, great player, both in the UFL and now the NFL. It came full circle. He signed at the place that he was kicking at back in the UFL. So, but yeah, I mean another notable name. You got DeAndre Tillman from the Denver Broncos. I believe he had 5.5 sacks this season. Really stood out. On certain downs, he had 7 tackles in the wild card game against the Buffalo Bills. And I just thought overall for the role that he was provided, I thought he did well. I mean, especially considered he's a rookie, and he's not, like as we know, UFL doesn't, if you're considered a rookie, you might not be the youngest player, but overall he was able to really give them that boost when they were lacking, some pass rush and some run defense. So I think for his first season, I think he did a good job, and it's great because he got a 3-year contract, so he's got 2 more years on his deal, and I think he'll really be of use of it. So, what are you guys' thoughts on his rookie season, and what do you think he can provide for Denver for the 2 years remaining on his contract?
I mean, I think he can do a lot. We saw Denver. Um, they made it all the way to the playoffs, so they have a pretty good team. I think he is one of those guys that maybe when they signed him, they saw him as like a backup, but now they got a lot more production out of him. So now, maybe we'll see him. Hopefully he'll get an extension in the future. But I know he's there for what, 2 more years,
Mm-hmm.
2 more years. So, this is just one of those good stories of the guys that they go to the UFL and they come out and they make a name for themselves, and then they stick. Some guys we see them, they go in the offseason and then they're back, to league. But some guys, play in this league and then they get to NFL and they stick. So it's a good story for him. I'm happy for him, and it just shows that the UFL can produce guys or get them opportunity, and hopefully this continues happening for more and more players outside of special teams.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and another,
Go ahead.
I would say another guy we can mention to make this opportunity would be defensive tackle Jeremiah Farms, who recently just signed a 2-year contract extension with the New England Patriots. Farms before that played one season in the USFL, but mainly as just a role player. He was a standout. He didn't have a crazy season, but he played the Patriot way, next man up. But after accumulating 16 tackles, 5 yards of loss, and 2 sacks over the season in New England, they brought him back on a 2-year contract, which means he is most likely going to stay.
Yeah, and I mean, I just wanted to add on about kind of developing players is that it just shows that if you put in the work ethic and the grind over the off season, no matter what your background is, coming from the UFL or a small college, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you if you're capable enough and you put in the work, you can make the NFL roster, right? I mean, I think the biggest problem for a lot of these guys is they kind of overthink, overcomplicate like the magnitude of NFL roster, and it kind of just leads them to think, oh well, I'm not gonna go out there and make that 53, but a lot of them have, and it's only the beginning. I think a lot more will in the upcoming season. So, um, but I mean, yeah, DeAndre Tillman, another notable rookie season. Um, we had Cavante Turpin and Brandon Aubrey both make the Pro Bowl from the Dallas Cowboys. Um, I'm hoping that they find their next player. We were thinking that it might have been Willie Harvey last year, but he got cut in the before the preseason. So I'm hoping that they can get another player this after this UFL season, and that can try to get over there and make a spark, so make an impact. So, but just because they've already gotten two, again, it doesn't, regardless of the team, it doesn't matter. But just because they've kind of built a thing with UFL players, former spring football. So, um, but yeah, I'm gonna leave it up to you guys. Kind of what we want to go into next. Now we got a new coach in Memphis, Coach Wissenhunt. And with Coach Flip stepping away, and as well as the old general manager, Dennis Poliano. Now you have a new guy, Jim Monos, and then a lot of new guys, Jaron Horton on the defensive coordinator side. So what do you guys think about Memphis and their new and improved coaching staff?
Yeah, I was going to start with the defensive coordinator, Jaron Horton. Jaron Horton has, through his tenure in Pittsburgh, was phenomenal, sensational. The deal is like everybody coming into Memphis that was from Pittsburgh loves him. I think he's the reason why this has a Pittsburgh Maulers identity around this Memphis Showboats team. And the fact that you're bringing in the defensive coordinator who was the guy who helped build that that Pittsburgh Maulers team, which it'll be great. Maybe they could cope 5-6 wins out, somehow make the playoffs, and do exactly what they did back in 2023.
Yeah, and I mean to add on to that, there were a lot of good players on that Maulers defense, and I think Jaron Horton's gonna want that fiery defense that rallies around the football every week. He doesn't want anybody who's lazy. He doesn't want anybody who takes plays off. So I think there's definitely a new standard in Memphis all around. Whether it's on defense, offense, special teams, it's not going to be kind of like laid back mentality. It's going to be more all up in your face kind of thing. So I'm excited for this season. In regards to seeing how Memphis does. But what do you guys have? Do you guys have anything on the new coaching staff for Memphis?
I think like maybe what I may have saw last year is I feel like Coach Flip lost the team towards the end of the season, and just how kind of he was on the sideline, it just looked like the whole team was just depleted. So I think when you bring in like a veteran who has a background in the NFL, I feel like that's the structure. He'll bring in the structure that they might need, and then you bring in a new guy on defense, and you bring in these players, and it just goes up from there. So I feel like I wouldn't say it's a rebuild, but it's just more of a restructure. And I think if they can play this right, they'll play a lot better. Now, I'm not saying they'll go from 2-8 to undefeated, but they'll make a jump from where they was last year, and then next season they get better and better. So I think this is a good move by Memphis, and I feel like kind of like Coach Skip, he's a vet there. So and you see how that is. So I feel like bringing him in to make a structure is a good idea. I think that'd be good for them.
Yeah, I mean, so they've got a lot of new additions. Ones that I'm excited for. I know Raf, you are excited for too. They've added a lot on the player side. I think their offense looks a lot better. Their defense could use some additions there, but overall, it definitely looks better. I mean, you still got what over a month here to make some last minute additions, but I think so far they've done a nice job in retooling a lot of the team, and we'll see what they've got in store for us this season. So,
Yeah,
um,
are they gonna add another quarterback, or do we
yeah,
have to watch
that's
Troy Williams,
that's the big
EJ
question mark.
Perry, and Quentin Norm? Like there are a lot of good players who are still available.
Yeah,
One that we can poach off from, like let's say, like a full success. We could maybe just to make things interesting get Brandon Silvers. I don't want Brandon Silvers though because he's not that good. But I I'm speechless. I'm clueless. I know that for poaching, Jared Garantano was grabbed off of the Repnex, know, transaction list, I believe, because he was released from the team. Immediately after, he was immediately signed by the San Antonio Brahmas. Now, that raises some question marks. Why would the Brahmas want Garantano when they already have Kellen Mond? Well, Arlington, Memphis could do exactly the same.
yeah, and it just goes to that you're kind of taken away from the other teams. I know, like Garantano, not like the top QB option, but it's just like having that safety and blocking him off from other teams. Even though he might not start, like you mentioned, with Mond probably ahead of the pack. So, um, but yeah, I mean, now we can get into kind of the fun stuff with I mean, not that all of what we were discussing wasn't fun, but the signings, stuff that happens every day. We get nightly transactions. Raf, I know you've got something about this where there's been a lot.
Oh yeah. I got a lot about this. So Arlington Renegades brought back wide receiver Luan Winningham yesterday, and to me, this just doesn't make sense. So this now brings this Arlington Renegades receiving room, which is bringing back a few guys. First, it brings back Deontay Burnett, Juwan Manigo, Javonta Payton, and Tyler Voss. Also Isaiah Winstead. But bringing it in new is Damon Shihigasepi, Todd Simmons, Devion Clayton, and David Durden. Adding Luan Winningham does not make sense unless he's going to be a camp body or someone they call up and call down from the practice squad. Yes, but Winningham only has 10 total career regular season catches professionally. Last year was very disappointing just because of the merger, didn't really get a lot. But they're already so set and they have four other receivers who play his position. This one to me does not make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, some signings are gonna make less sense than others. I mean, that's just kind of. I mean, you kind of said it with Guarantano. I mean, that one though probably made more sense to you than Jawan Winningham, but
Well, yeah, because Garantano will be able to compete with Kellen Mond. No,
that's
you
true.
know, I don't see Winningham competing with anybody. And not even that, Garantano wasn't bad. I don't think Garantano was bad at all. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, signings are gonna kind of depend on what the team just wants to do. It's kind of a lot of signings at this point in the offseason are not really based on need. It's kind of more depth and kind of like reserve related. It's not really you're getting a guy at this point and he's starting. But Yeah, I mean, other signings we've had, I mean, Hakeem Butler re-signed over the offseason. Alex McGough returning to the Birmingham Stallions. You have Luis Perez returning. You have, just all these guys really just coming back. And, I mean, do you guys have any, opinion on any of these signings? And are you excited to see any of the players being brought back, or do you think they're going to take a step forward, or do you think it's going to be kind of the same? Like, I know Hakeem Butler and Luis Perez have kind of already been dominant. So, if do you think we're going to see the same things for them? Are they going to take a step back? Are they going to improve? Or what do you guys think?
Well, the one thing I want to say that's interesting about Magoo is on the transaction list, I saw that he was listed as wide receiver. So I wonder if Birmingham will play him at receiver. They'll probably play him at quarterback, but it'll be interesting to see if maybe they open up the playbook, maybe try some trick plays with him at receiver or something like that. But I just thought that was interesting. I saw that.
Yeah, no, I had noticed that too, but when the Green Bay Packers had signed quarterback Michael Pratt this past offseason, he switched to receiver because he knew he couldn't compete at quarterback. So they signed him in as a quarterback X receiver, but he might play split reps between receiver and quarterback, and they run some crazy offense. And not even that, like running a 2 quarterback system isn't new to Skip Holtz. So a Corral Magoo offense wouldn't be nothing new.
Yeah, and I mean, as you kind of said, he was, technically a receiver for a couple weeks in the NFL. So we don't know like what he's weighing at, or like he could definitely be a little bit bigger than what he was when back in the UFL. So he could definitely be able to go out there out wide and get some snaps at receiver. I do remember though when he was with the Stallions, he had a rep against the Maulers, if you remember that. I think it was just one, but I think the outcome of the play was either a pick or it was something that happened to Goo.
It was multiple because I think we were already dominating in that game, and then Skip Holtz tried to air it out to him like 3 times, and then next thing you know, interception.
Yeah. So I mean, again, I just remembered that it's not really significant, but it was just funny to me at the time. Raf, do you remember that, or AJ? That was a couple years ago.
I don't know what game that was.
It was
I don't know what game that was.
It was a meeting with the Maulers, but obviously because they played in the same. Yeah, they both played at Protective that season, right? They played him twice, so I mean, I couldn't tell them, But
was that the game where Jamar Smith like struggled, went like 9 for 16 passing and like 80 yards? And
yeah, I think their
what's his name?
Their rushing was really good.
And both Scarborough and CJ Marable carried them to a crazy victory, 25-9, win over.
Yeah, that's.
Was that the game?
Yeah,
I think that may be the game.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, because believe it, but they say poor Jamar. Jamar wasn't really great of a quarterback. I'll say Jamar wasn't really good.
We'll leave that. We'll leave the skepticism for another podcast. But that reminds me, what we did when we talked about last time we recorded is the new competition in the Stallions quarterback room. Now you got Magoo, you got Corral. Both have played with the team before. Both have played with Skip Holtz. Who do you guys see as the foreseeable starter? And if you don't see a definite starter, do you think the 2 quarterback system is in play?
Well,
nope.
To start it off, I think my prediction on the starting role as for right now is going to be Alex McGough. I mean, don't get me wrong, Matt Corral is a great quarterback. He's bringing experience from last season. He did have a couple notable playing moments, but I mean, come on, Alex McGough, he had a absolute dominant season in 2023, and it's not a guy that you really see sitting on the bench that much. And I mean, yes, they're most likely going to have both Corral and McGough air it out in training camp, but for right now, I would say Alex Magoo would probably be the probable starter. Not only that, but a lot of people, including me, just are just reminded of what Magoo is able to do, and you see that a lot in a lot of the Instagram pages related to the Stallions. Like a lot of people are just trying to rally for Magoo to get the starting role again. So it will be interesting. Does Skip Holtz try to do like a split QB system like he did for the first few weeks for Birmingham? And only one way to find out.
Yeah. What about you, AJ? You got some thoughts on that?
Uh, I honestly think because I feel like it'll be close because I feel like even though Matt Corral maybe didn't have the best season last season, I think they might be going for a chemistry. But at the same time, Magoo might be the better guy. So I kind of see him starting the season off with a 2 QB, and then Magoo eventually wins the job. That's how I see it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I think in the first couple weeks they'll split it. They'll split the reps, and then kind of down the line they'll kind of see their number one guy. You got to remember Magoo's been out of spring football now, so what does that do? In terms of his understanding of Skip Holtz, because spring football I would say has upgraded since the last time he's been here. So I mean it's not like he's not capable of understanding it, but now it's just a newer game, with better players and better coaches. So he's gonna have to do some adjusting as well. So, Ralph, what do you think?
I mean, Magoo was also. I would say Magoo was also just in the NFL. I don't say spring football is new to him or
No,
it's
but
changed. He was just spent 2 years in the NFL.
but the
So
exposure, be
exposure.
from going from a starter like a definite quarterback, an MVP to practice squad. I mean, he
Yeah,
just
but
hasn't had that field exposure. That's what I'm trying to.
no. What do you mean? He's throwing the ball against Jair Alexander and Xavier Woods every week.
So
Who's the best guys gonna throw against?
are you
Delonte
equating are
Hood.
you equating
Delonte Hood. Are you saying Delonte Hood's better than Jair Alexander?
no. Are you equating practice throws to the UFL? Like are you equating
I
practice
was listening
reps?
to.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, playing against Jair Alexander is better than playing against Delonte Hood. So in some ways, yes.
Playing
I mean, the
against Jair.
competition.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, scrimmaging and practicing against Jair Alexander is better than playing against Delonte Hood or whatever corners in the Delonte Hood or Corn Elder. Now, those would be the two staplehood corners. Yeah, I said it. I said it.
No, I mean it's a good take.
Yeah.
I just I was just saying now he does have to do some adjusting. I mean now he was playing different positions. Like he was a quarterback and a receiver. So now to just to either just be a bona fide one position or having to do both again. I mean,
Yeah.
it's gonna be different with a new coaching staff too. I mean, he had the same
I
one
mean,
in Birmingham for 2 years.
he's not the only dual position player. There's Kia
That's
Loxley
true.
for the Memphis Showboats. So
I think
maybe he does play receiver and quarterback at the same time. He could be the sixth option at receiver and the second option at quarterback. So
isn't Lynn Bowden?
Lynn Bowden Jr. Yes, for the DC
Yeah.
Defenders. Yeah,
Yeah.
both running back and wide receiver
Oh,
with the
okay.
New Orleans Saints, and he had a crazy catch 1 week against the Buffalo Bills on a 3rd and 16 in the wild card round back in
Yeah.
2022.
And then
Crazy game.
is Kirk Merritt rostered or?
Yeah, in Houston.
Oh, okay. I want to see him, play. I know he got injured in the DC game. He
Yeah,
had
it was that run. It was that run where he
Yeah.
caught the pass and then
I think he fell awkwardly on his wrist.
Summer. Well, no, freaking what's his name? Who's the number 3 receiver? What's his name?
Chisholm?
Yeah, Kiki Chisholm didn't block that guy. He didn't block
Oh, yeah, that's true.
DeAndre Baker. It was DeAndre Baker actually. But if he blocked DeAndre Baker, that was a touchdown.
Yeah,
I've seen that play like at least 100 times.
yeah. But I mean that was sad too. I mean it was early, earlier this season. It would have been sad either way because like if he happened later in the season, he would have been out for a lot of this season. So, um, but yeah, that was just some that was a little bit off topic, but I'm glad we voiced our opinions. Um,
It's the old Roth banter.
the old Raw Panthers said it well.
Yep, I'll
Um,
keep it.
all right, so we can talk about kind of the hub contract. Like, what do you guys, I'll just kind of get it more into a broad point. So, what are you guys hopes for the league this season in terms of, whether it's viewership expectations or, fan expectations or like, different community events for teams to host. Like, what do you guys envision the league, like what step do you guys envision the league taking this year, whether it's kind of along the same lines as last year or something a lot better or something even better than that. So what do you guys think?
I hope that they do a better job of like promoting the teams to the cities so that they can boost fan attendance. Because I feel
Mm.
like some of the reason they didn't get as many fans is because they weren't as invested. And I know it's like the hub and they stay in one spot and fly out to the city, but I think if they just do a little more of getting each city or each place they're playing at, they get their attention and get them more involved, then the attendance will go up.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I mean, at one point, they weren't even flying out to like these other spots. So now to have that, and to have that ability, you get so much more. And it shouldn't just be about Sunday or Saturday, like being the big day. You got to make it, you got to make the football a tradition and a culture in the city. So I think that's a great point, AJ. What do you guys have, Raf and Diego?
Um, I think it really just comes down similar to what AJ pointed out, but really just you really just gotta drive just the whole game day experience as well. Just certain like incidents that will get people out to the games, like invite some of like high schools or like maybe college dance teams or like just just do certain things, maybe bring in celebrities or something if the UFL is able to take it to the next level. But just in cities like Memphis and Houston, they just really just gotta try to upgrade it a bit. And the pressure right now is on Houston since the opening kickoff is going to be there against St. Louis. So really, just overall, the league just needs to improve in the marketing, which obviously I did touch up on this in our first try, but the Memphis Showboats, they have been uh, busy this offseason in Memphis with the mascot Skipper. Really, just because from the snippet they've been totaling about 120 hours of community outreach, and they said within these events they've connected with nearly 20,000 people across the region. So is it's getting there, but still so much more can be done. And we know what the ratings for viewership has looked like. That's really not much of a concern, but really just how the game day experience is going to be for all of the cities in general.
Well, one way they will also be trying to fix that is theme nights. UFL theme nights. The United Football League has announced theme nights for 2025. They announced this back in like December, but the one that is most notable is the St. Louis Battlehawks having full battle rattle, a blue masquerade, MO is home, cancer awareness, hats off to Hero, and a salute to football. Now, are these theme nights going to bring people in? No, they're not. Okay, let's be honest. They're not bringing people in. But is this something to look forward to? Yeah, I guess so. But I don't think people are going to be like, oh, let's go to breast cancer awareness night in St. Louis. That sounds like fun. I don't think anybody's thinking that out of their head. But who knows? Who knows?
it's a
That's
good.
why you bring in a Star Wars night or something fun that people know, or
You
maybe I
know,
don't
the
know.
deal is like no one in St. Louis is going to a game for Star Wars. They're like they're bringing 30,000 people into St.
Star
Louis,
Wars is built
regardless.
differently, man. You never know.
No, but I think it's a good effort for sure. I mean, they might not be like the most exciting events, but it's a good effort and trying to promote some things, and whether it's not gonna might not impact attendance, but I mean, again, it's kind of up to the stadium organization and the team and what they want to do. So, um, but yeah, I mean, I think in my opinion, I think a lot of these teams like really doing more off of the football field is good. It builds a strong relationship with between the fan and the players and the general managers and everyone behind the scenes. I think that's something that's really invaluable. Um, you know, Only a couple teams have done. I mean, I know Birmingham's done that now for the time they've been around. Just because they're a very tight knit community. Memphis now starting to implement that. Um, but as time goes on, I want to see more teams do that because as we know, football is really strong in a lot of towns and cities, and it can be no different with the cities that we have in the UFL. So, um, but yeah, I mean, I think those are some good things that we can add on to for next time. I mean, unless you guys have anything else notable that we can add tonight, I think it's go ahead and we can call this a good reunion episode.
Great reunion episode. Not good, great.
Great, I like it.
Yeah.
All right,
I was I was gonna mention something about Joseph and Gata, but I was like, you know what, I could save that for the next episode.
okay.
But
I mean, whatever you want. If you wanna.
yeah, no, I'll leave it off of the first cliffhanger of the series.
Oh, okay, okay. I like
Yeah,
that.
just
All
I
right.
like the I like the suspense.
yeah, his team won the Super Bowl. If you didn't know, Joseph and Gata played for the Eagles, and they released him. And I saw that happen in like real time, and I was like, whoa, he might play in the UFL because no team in the playoff releases somebody from their practice squad. That was odd. I thought that was strange. Immediately after, well, you have to find out unless you know how to use Google or you're listening this far. You have to
I
find
know,
out.
I know what you guys know what it is, right? We'll talk about it in the group chat. I think I have an idea of what it is, but um, yeah, I mean, so we'll get into that in the next episode. Stay tuned for Joseph and Gata's Joseph. I don't know how to describe it, but whatever Raf has to say about Joseph and Gata. So
His next journey, his next journey.
his next journey. So
Yeah, his next
we'll
journey.
we'll make sure to start the next episode on that note. All right. So it was great seeing you guys. I'm hoping I'll be able to get this up soon, so you guys can
Me too.
post it to your channels. But
Yeah,
but yeah,
hooray.
uh, you've been a long time coming for you, Raf. I know you've been busy with your own stuff.
Well, no, I'm having fun. I'm having fun. This is a great episode.
All right, all right. I just want to make sure you're good use of your time.
Ah, no great news.
All right,
It's good to be back.
good to be
So good
back
to be back.
indeed.
Oh yeah.
Very close to the start of the season. You see my background. I
45
think
days. 45 days. We're
days. There you
45 days
go.
away. 45
Yep.
days.
45 day. We saved my background for the end this time. I brought it up in the beginning last time, but I
Yeah,
think it's
45
better
days.
better to the end. All right. Thanks for the meeting today, guys, and we'll keep in touch. All right.
All right. Sounds
Yep.
good.
All right. Peace out. Have a good night.
Have a good night.